See, networking, 1970s. I'm not sure I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, Rob worked for me, so he knows I never do what I'm supposed to do. You've seen this before, maybe. One yellow pencil. Can you break it? I can. And I think all of you can. Yeah. Well, now I've got all sorts of tricks, Rob. A whole bunch of yellow pencils. I can't break them. Maybe you can. But anyway, what's the point of all this? In 1969, the Tax Reform Act regarding private foundations was passed. And foundations got clobbered, to use a very fancy word. The foundation infrastructure, and for that matter, the nonprofit infrastructure, was minuscule. There was a council on foundations, not too robust. There was a foundation library center, and a few other things, and that was it. I remember Mr. Mott preparing his voluntary testimony for the Ways and Means Committee. But it wasn't a robust, the foundation field didn't come together in a robust, coordinated fashion. And so, to give you some example of how bad it was, and I was new to Michigan at the time, I went to a meeting at Meadowbrook. There were about 20 people there. I don't know if you were there, Russ, or not, but or some others in the audience. But there were representatives from Kellogg, Kresge, Mott, and a few others. We didn't know each other. We didn't talk with each other. And it was no wonder, since we weren't collaborating, networking, or whatever you want to call it. We didn't know who we were, our stories. We didn't like to brag, so we kept our stories more to ourselves. So that was what happened in '69. One of the first things 40 years ago when we came together was well, I sort of put it, now, Rob, I'm going to depart from the speech, or what I'm supposed to do. My speech is, yeah, it's a mess. We came up with what I call a whole bunch of reasons why CMF today is a success. First, we came up with a very robust legislative agenda. And because of the Michigan foundations and some of our colleagues in Minnesota, and then a few others got on the train with us, we were able to get that fluctuating foundation payout rate to a flat 5%. Also, Dottie Johnson was relating to me how we went and talked with Bill Broadhead, and we got that excise tax reduced to 2%. Now, if anyone wants a return on investment, to use current terminology, you've got it tremendously. Those two items alone have paid major dividends, not only for Michigan foundations, but all foundations. So that was the first success. Well, let me see if I can find another one. When we started coming together, as I say, we didn't know who we were. And as we learned earlier today, data. We had to have data. How many of us are there? What the field look like? What are we doing? How do we begin to come out and tell our little stories? So, we did that. Second, I've already covered the robust legislative agenda. Infrastructure. There wasn't any infrastructure, and we started in Michigan building infrastructure, and we carried it because others emulated us. It went across the United States and, as Rob said, globally. We just, for the nonprofit sector and the foundation sector, and it's just been tremendous. The collaboration and all that. We learned to, what was that? Grab hold, shake hands, you know, that, we learned that today too. And so, it's been wonderful. Another key to success has been a very committed, informed, involved membership. All of you, you've just done a tremendous job. And without you, CMF wouldn't be here 40 years later. And from the very early days, I remember it didn't make any difference who you were or whether you were from the big foundation or the smallest foundation in the room. Your voice was listened to, your opinions were welcome. It didn't make a difference if you were a corporate grant maker, a community foundation, an independent foundation, and we'll say independent and small family foundation. It didn't make a difference. You were welcome, and that is built into the DNA of the Council of Michigan Foundations, and that is why we have always been a great place that people like to come together to solve problems.